Are you really not going to put Notre Dame in the postseason, winning 10 games in a row?
I know I'm going to get yelled at here. We got to have a threshold.
We haven't seen this type of clutchness since MJ.
If Jacksonville never played a football game again, would anyone notice?
Our guy Gus Johnson saying, "Give him the Heisman!"
Touchdown! Wow! Give him the Heisman Trophy now!
They do not profile like a 10-win team. They profile like 7-win type teams. I can't wait to let 18 to 22-year-olds go through it.
I made a call, today. I said, "Look, we actually need the paper."
Going on, Bear Bets Weekend Rewind Weekly Look Ahead lines we like. And I guess, guys, the biggest story of the week is that Sammy P, you gained a reprieve and we all lose because you will not be in a corn cob costume this Thursday.
Much to the chagrin of Geoff, he really wanted to see me dressed up like a vegetable, but maybe next time.
Was it in the cart? Did it make it to the shopping cart when Oregon went up 9-0 this past weekend?
No, never did. I was nervous, though, at the end, guys. I thought, well, if Oregon scores a touchdown in the rain and goes for 2, I have to buy a freaking corn costume. That was the last thing I wanted to do with my money.
You're lucky that Dante Moore tripped over our right guard because we had a touchdown on 3rd and 1 and settled for a field goal there. Otherwise, that was making the cart. But the most important thing of anything, Bear, is the Bear Bets podcast is undefeated again. We've had a coach or player on every week. That coach or player has won their game on Saturday. Mike Elko did it again for us, defeating Missouri, the A&M head coach. So, open invite. If you're a coach and you want to win, hit us up. Come on our show on Thursday. Let's go.
Yeah, you did a hell of a job with the interview, Geoff. It was good stuff. You and the. It's so good when you've got coaches out there like Mike Elko who get it and they enjoy doing this stuff and they realize the benefit of getting your face out there and getting your program some good publicity and having people see nothing bad. And that was an absolutely impressive road win that the Aggies had this week in Como, blowing out what at the time was a ranked Missouri team, no longer. We'll talk more about the college football playoff rankings later in the show. But Indiana, I was sitting at the Cedar Rapids airport, waiting for my flight and watching that Penn State Indiana game. Just an amazing finish by Indiana on that final drive. They had the game in full control until they didn't, and then IU with a ridiculous throw and catch to escape Penn State with the win.
There are so many good things about that final drive, Bear, for Indiana. First of all, it started with a sack with no timeouts, which is basically death. That's the worst way to start any 2-minute drive with no timeouts, is to get sacked. And it didn't matter. And then Mendoza almost it knocked him back into shape, or then he went boom, 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 right down the field. And then at the very end, I love really what the chess match was, which is Penn State was bringing all out pressure every single play. And they were saying, can we get to you before you get the ball out? And it worked the first time. And the second time it worked. I mean, he got hit by 2 defenders. He made a great throw to the back of the end zone, an even better catch. And what I loved about all of it, and look, Fox got some great cameras because you can see the wide receiver catch the ball there, then look down at his feet to make sure he got the 1 foot in. Somehow the other foot just dragged right above Sammy the grass, got the foot down, and what a win for Indiana. And look, Penn State, not as good anymore. They still have life though, right? They still have life. They're still a very talented team. To me, it's still an impressive win for Indiana to go on the road and get this done the way they did.
I'm still upset that I didn't put Penn State on my best bet card. Everybody that I respect said, don't do it. Don't do it. So I took Penn State off and put Boston College on. Nice call, nerd. Although we all had a pretty good week, I think, last week. The throw was incredible. The catch was better, though. I mean, the toe tap down was unbelievable. My least favorite part of that entire thing, though, as somebody holding Ty Simpson Heisman stock, was our guy Gus Johnson saying, "Give him the Heisman." I was like, no, stop. It was a Heisman level moment for Mendoza for sure. Now he's co-favored with Julian Sayin at multiple sports books.
Yeah, it feels like the Big Ten championship game is going to decide who wins the Heisman. We mentioned A&M earlier. We mentioned Indiana there. And Geoff, you mentioned the fight at Penn State. I'm curious, looking ahead now to this week in East Lansing, how much fight, how much will Penn State has left in the tank after having their hearts ripped out like that against Indiana. But in terms of the college football playoff rankings this week, last week Indiana was 2. I thought there was a chance they would be number 1. Texas A&M was 3. Do you think there's potentially a switch between 2 and 3 this week? Because look, A&M had a dominant road conference win against what was a ranked team at the time. Indiana struggled and was very fortunate to win against a team that hadn't had a win in the Big Ten. And the only reason I bring this up is because the only way that this could be an issue is if Indiana is 3 going into the Big Ten championship game and they were to lose to Ohio State, I think there's a chance they could fall out of the top 4, and potentially that would mean you're not getting the first round bye, you're hosting a college football playoff game instead, which Indiana would love to do, I'm sure. But if I'm ranking them this week, I got to put A&M at 2, right? Am I wrong? Am I crazy here?
I don't know, Bear. I think that we overreact to week results. I don't think I know, right? And like that's still a pretty important win. A&M went on the road to beat a team who didn't have a quarterback. Same, I guess, with Penn State, even though their quarterback has had now a couple weeks to get under the belt. I don't know if I would change the rankings. I get your point though, right? Because if A&M goes ahead of them, if Indiana loses to Ohio State, they go. The question is who would move up in the top 4 if it wasn't Indiana. I wouldn't move them. Sammy, now, if A&M beats Texas in the season, I think you absolutely at that point would have to move them above Indiana, who plays no one else between now and Ohio State. But after this 1 week, we don't know how far the gap was between these teams as well. If the gap was really close, if there was a debate and 6-1 Indiana 2 and 5-1 at A&M 2, yeah, sure, move them. But if there was a little bit of a gap, I'm not sure you change very much off this week.
Good week for Notre Dame, though, guys. All they did was pound another bad team, and dominoes are falling around them. Look, I know, Bear. I saw you fighting on Twitter this morning, riling up the Irish guys.
Oh yeah,
but BYU was not good. BYU couldn't move the ball. Memphis loses, and Notre Dame wins by 1,000,000 points in the rain. Their offense is elite. It's an elite offense. I know the competition hasn't been great, but look at their price to make the playoff now, -400. If they take care of business, they're in. And the look-ahead number on Notre Dame and Pitt was 9. That number's 11.5 now. So the support is real. The bookmakers respect them. Guys are betting them to make the playoff. I'm not laying $4 for sure, but everybody else around them, look at Miami losing, Georgia Tech losing. All Notre Dame keeps doing is stacking wins. Miami lost 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago they lost. I'm saying like these teams that are supposed to be rounding into form are not rounding into form, and the Irish are.
See, I just don't get how they can be ranked ahead of Texas and Oklahoma and, of course, Miami. Texas and Oklahoma both have multiple wins over teams that are currently ranked, and they have much more difficult strength of schedules. I get it. Notre Dame has improved since the first couple of weeks of the season when they lost to the 2 best teams that they have played. But also, I think some of that improvement has to do with the fact that the schedule hasn't been great. And again, I tweeted this out earlier on Monday, and people are all up in arms. Oh, well, what about Indiana? Yeah, I'm the great Indiana schedule defender of the last couple of years, for sure. You look at Notre Dame, 3 of their wins are against Purdue, Boston College, and Arkansas. The 3 teams that are in last place in the ACC, Big Ten, and SEC that are combined 0-18 in their league and 5-24 against overall, and only 2 of those wins have come against FBS opponents. So look, they have been playing bad teams. Yes, they have been beating most of them. If you're a Miami fan, you really need the Hurricanes to put a number on NC State this week. It's a common opponent with Notre Dame. The game against Notre Dame and NC State, it was 10-7 midway through the 3rd quarter in South Bend earlier this year. Notre Dame wound up pulling away a couple of turnovers late, a late touchdown to make it 36-7 final score. If you are a Miami fan looking to shrink that gap again with Notre Dame and make that head-to-head come into play, You really need the Hurricanes to put up a big number this week against a Notre Dame team that I think should be ranked right now behind Texas, behind Oklahoma.
Okay. So I just, the thing that I have trouble with all this sort of discussion about ranked wins is like the games are, the teams, I should say, have changed so much that I don't know if it matters. A head-to-head matchup that happened in week 1 matters when you rank them in week 15. Like I know the game happened, Bear, but if Notre Dame is better than Miami now, yes, it's a data point to talk about their season. But are you really not going to put Notre Dame in the postseason winning 10 games in a row because they lost a week 1 game by 3 points? Like that to me, I'm not saying that you're making the argument, but that to me is sort of the issue with how we discuss ranked wins when teams played each other. Like it counts as a win for Miami, absolutely. But if they're both 10-2, I don't know how much a game that happened September 4th matters on December 1st.
Well, I think it does matter, certainly, how Miami looks at the end of the game. It's funny you bring that up because I know you've been kind of vocal and active on Twitter, like talking about, Penn State was ranked, whatever they were. It's a ranked win. So basically, one thing you will not hear from me is say Miami going to Tallahassee and beating the shit out of whatever Florida State was when Miami went to play. Like that's not a ranked win in my mind.
Okay,
Penn State's not a ranked win in my mind. Like Clemson is not a ranked. Those teams wound up sucking. I get what the numbers said at the time, but I think as you get later in the year, you can refer to and say at the time it looked like a good win, but here's what came into focus as games were played and the season went on, and we saw what teams really were.
It counts as a ranked win, but then you discuss a nuance around the ranked win. You can't pick and choose what week the rankings matter. That's always my problem with this, right? Because if we're choosing it this week, then Iowa's not ranked. It's not a ranked win for Oregon. But next week, Iowa might be ranked again. Now it's a ranked win for Oregon all of a sudden. That's sort of my point, right? It's like you take it for what it is, which is that Oregon or whoever else, right? And my best example is Alabama. Alabama went to Missouri. They beat him when the quarterback was healthy. That's a ranked win. Mm-hmm. Missouri's not ranked anymore, so no longer a ranked win. So that's my point, right? Like you talk about the win as it was in that week with the nuance that Penn State's not as good anymore, or Florida State has fallen off a cliff, but it still counts as a ranked win. You need to talk about it like adults, like the nuance that's involved in this discussion, but just ignoring it altogether and picking and choosing which week the rankings really matter to me is not the way to do it. And so that's always my pushback. It's always my, and by the way, when we talk about coaches' records against ranked opponents, we just take what the ranking was in a given week. We don't talk about, 4 years ago, that ranked win doesn't count because that team got worse in the season. We just talk about in the moment of what it was. That's my whole point of this whole thing. So the idea that teams, their ranked wins fluctuate based on the ranking of that given week, I think is a really dumb way to talk about the sport. And just talk about what it is. Oregon won a tough game at Penn State. They're not as good anymore, but that game happened when it did. And also, too, like, we're praising Indiana for this great win at Penn State, and it was a great comeback win. And yet Oregon's win at Penn State is like a piece of shit win because Penn State fell apart. I just don't kind of buy these arguments. So that's my general talk on the rankings. I agree with you that Miami's win at Florida State, while it does check off a ranked win, Florida State is not as good anymore. So we talk about it like we are now. We say, hey, look, man, that was a good win at the moment, but probably not as good, in week 12 we're in now.
Sammy, will you talk to us like an adult, please?
I was going to say, I just can't wait to continue this conversation in the comments section. I can't wait. That's what I can't wait for the rest of the week. Look, the reality with Notre Dame, and let's put a ribbon on this. Last 7 games, 56 points, 28, 36, 34, 25, 49. In the game they lost to A&M, they scored 40. That is such a good offense, and that running attack has been lethal. Just absolutely lethal. And here's the other thing. The elephant in every room with Notre Dame. They bring eyeballs. They bring dollar signs. It's the brand. The brand is better at Notre Dame than it is at most places. And there's a reason, guys, they're minus 400 to make the playoff. They win out, they're in. That's it, period.
And the brand in eyeballs that never comes into conversation in the college football playoff selection firm. I've been through the exercise. I've been through the mocks. I've been through how they discuss teams. That's not part of the the conversation. But we'll see what happens. I think we got to see how the season plays out. There's a very good chance Miami might not even win out. There's a chance Notre Dame might not win at Pitt this week. One of the other things, Geoff, that I have a problem with, and it's funny because I think we see the AP poll kind of reacts to what the playoff committee put out like a week ago, and then they kind of overlook like the results that they had over the weekend, and then the college football playoff committee is going to include the results from the weekend. Like, we got to be moving Oregon and Texas Tech over Ole Miss, right? Like, Texas Tech absolutely blew out BYU, who had been on. Look, we all know BYU. The power rating was nowhere near what they were ranked. Blew them out. Defense dominated the game. Oregon went to Iowa shorthanded, won a game. Indiana struggled there as well, and Oregon went in there and won in brutal conditions. Like, how are we not putting those two teams ahead of Ole Miss, who has the same number of losses, because Ole Miss wound up beating the Citadel?
Because people have biases when it comes to how they do this. I saw an AP voter and they post all the vote that had BYU ahead of Oregon after this weekend.
How?
I don't know. They don't watch the games. I don't know why. I would do that, but I'm not in charge of doing this. I think
you should be.
I actually don't want to be part of the playoff committee. I thought about this. Like,
I would love to.
You would love to. Well, let's position for Bear to be. I think you should be part of it. You and Condi Rice just sitting there, and on that. What would you be your food of choice? Like, what would you order for the group on Saturday of conference championship weekend when you guys all sitting in that room together?
You got plenty of. I mean, pizza's always a safe bet.
The problem is in Texas, Bear, and you can't live wager with some of the domestic books there. Yeah,
that's true. It's a bad state when it comes in that regard. But look, there's no shortcomings of good food options. They took care of us quite nicely in the hotel there, in the offices when we went through the. So I think we'd be okay. Sammy, you have any issues with Oregon and Texas Tech being behind Ole Miss right now, or no?
Well, from a power rating standpoint, I've got Ole Miss much lower. I've got them 12th right now. So, I mean, everything will come out in the wash, of course. I've got Oregon and Ole Miss. I've got Oregon 5 points better and Texas Tech 4 points better. Oregon and Tech would be like 1.5 on a neutral right now. I still think Oregon would be favored. And we talked about this last week when we made these hypothetical spreads, when Oregon was going to Texas Tech and the game would be a pick'em. That implies, of course, that Oregon is better on a neutral. So I'm not high on Ole Miss. I've got Ole Miss. Geez, to say this out loud, it sounds crazy, but I've got Ole Miss 11 points, 12 points worse than Ohio State on a neutral. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Wow.
I believe it. That makes sense to me. Another way we talked about the Tech BYU game. The strength and the respect and the love for the Big 12 in the first rankings. I'm curious to see how that comes out in the wash Tuesday. Like, I couldn't get Utah being ranked where they were. You got beaten by Texas Tech in Salt Lake when Morton was hurt and didn't play. You went to BYU, blew a lead. Your strength of record is worse than Miami, Illinois, Georgia Tech, USC, Michigan, Vandy, teams that are currently ranked behind them in the college football playoff rankings. Straight to schedules outside the top 50. Like, I'm not sure Utah wins at Baylor versus Kansas State and Kansas. Like, is Utah a team that could wind up? Sammy, I don't have the numbers in front of me. What's the yes/no on Utah to make the playoff right now? Because I don't think they're a playoff team.
As at large, I bet them last week a tiny sprinkle to win the Big 12, but I need BYU to lose again for that to happen, right? I mean, like there's Utah's got to get in that Big 12 championship. They're power rated high, right, Sammy? And that's part of it. Like, their efficiency numbers are really good. So they're going to be power rated high, even though the results of those games didn't go their way. If you look at a lot of stuff like, offense, even efficiency, I think they're top 5 in those categories, Bears. That's probably why they're as high.
SP
has them 7 right now overall. Like, those 2 games they lost. The Tech game, remember, was pretty close for a while. And we find out Dampier was hurt. The BYU game, and they're 6th in the country points per drive. Like they're finishing drives. It doesn't, and that's why the stats and numbers sometimes you have to look at the context of the games and the film you're watching and whatnot, and it just doesn't match up with. I think we all agree with what we see. And their schedule. It's Kansas and
Baylor at Baylor, home K-State, and at Kansas.
Yeah, so I mean they have a chance to finish 10-2. I don't think they're making it that large. I don't think they're getting it that large, but it's worth discussing. Like, is these teams? The ACC has one team in now after last weekend, right? I mean they were getting one anyways, but now like they're officially just getting one. If Oregon loses again, maybe they're out, and like the Big Tens have 2 or 3. Like, there's going to be someone that we don't expect, I think, to get in just because there's not enough numbers right now.
Yeah, Texas will get in at 9-3.
I know.
DraftKings has Utah plus 280 to make the playoff.
Wow.
So that's a shorter. I mean, I guess that's a shorter price because I guess technically they do have an opportunity to get to the Big Ten, the Big 12 championship game. So I guess that they need what? They need Cincinnati to lose again, right? And they need BYU to lose again. That's pretty much their path.
Yeah, they need they have 2 conference losses. So they would need BYU to lose twice, right?
BYU, you could argue BYU lost twice on Saturday.
BYU was bad. Oh, geez, it was bad.
Well, I don't know. That's God. So that price is basically kind of an at-large price because it's going to be a long shot for them to make the conference title.
Right, because they have 2 conference losses, right? They lost to Tech and BYU, so they lose the tiebreaker to BYU. So, but BYU has TCU this weekend at Cincinnati, which is probably close to a pick 'em, and UCF to end the season.
I can't see them making the playoff.
Yeah, it really feels like a one bid league. Even BYU, I got BYU's price up here. You thought Utah was strange at plus 280. BYU with one less loss is 3-1 to make the playoff. So they're basically saying, without saying, whoever wins the conference championship, Texas Tech,
right? That's
probably it.
We have that under 1.5 Big 12 playoff teams ticket. At least I do, Barry. I tailed you on that one, so I'm hoping only one gets in.
Yeah, I got under 1.5 Big 12, under 3.5 Big 10. If I said that, yeah, under 1.5 Big 12, under 3.5 Big 10. So I feel good about the Big 10 one. I feel really good about the Big 10 one.
Next week is an elimination game for USC and Oregon. So that's about it.
For USC, and then when Michigan loses to Ohio State, that'll be Washington losing this past week. That was a good result to get them completely out of the way. But I'm just sitting here too, thinking about the the group of 5, and I know I'm going to get yelled at here. I'm going to be seen as like the no fun, get off my lawn guy. We got to have a threshold for a group of 5 team to get in here. It can't just be like whoever the highest rank, even if you're not ranked type of deal is. Like the whole reason we got excited about putting these like group of 5 teams in was back when we had historically good Boise and TCU teams. UCF had a really good team in 17. Like we don't have anything like that this year. And just to put one of these teams in because, it's fair, give them a chance. It's fair, give them a chance if like South Florida, who got their ass kicked by Miami, gets in, or it's fair that JMU, who lost to Louisville, gets in. Like, and they're not even like ranked or ranked on the fringe. Like I get everybody wants a good story, but just to give one of these teams a spot and taking it away from a team that has either beaten them or has played a much more difficult schedule, like I don't know, man. I know people are that's not gonna be a popular opinion, but
no, but you're right, Bear. You're right. Look, here's the deal. So right now, the 12 seed in the playoff is going to be JMU or South Florida, most likely. JMU actually jumped up ahead of them in the AP poll. We'll see what happens in the playoff rankings. They're probably going to one of 3 places, okay? They're going to Texas Tech, Ole Miss, or Oregon, most likely. What's the number on that game, Sammy? 21? What?
Just give me the teams, Texas Tech and who?
Texas Tech, Oregon, or Ole Miss is probably the 5 seed right now, would be hosting the 12 seed JMU or South Florida.
Oh, geez. Well, James Madison's way down the board. I got James Madison and Oregon 20 points apart.
Like, no one wants to watch that. Like, it's just not a game that's entertaining in my book. I get you want to reward group of 5 teams, and like Boise State was certainly deserving last year, not having a bye, but of having they were very deserving of being a playoff team. But I think in a given year, that's going to change in every year, and just automatically awarding them. And I get it; you want them to play for something. So I understand the idea behind it, and giving them motivation. But I mean, JMU is not going to compete against any of the teams. Like, what would you have if it was Notre Dame as the 5 seed? I just think it's just going to be a bloodbath, man.
Yeah, well, that's the way it goes. The more teams you add, the more likely it is for blowouts. I mean, if you have 2 teams, there's probably not a blowout. You have 4 teams, there's probably not a lot of blowouts. Obviously, there's not enough games. You have 12 teams, blowouts. You want 24 teams, ass kickings. I mean, like, what's the point?
Want that, though.
Why have a 2014 playoff? Why?
We don't have like 20 teams worth ranking right now, and we're gonna have stop.
Yeah, I agree. You know who did get a lot of money though in the last week, Bear, to make the playoff? The Mean Green, North Texas, down to 2-1 to make the playoff.
Yeah, because we're looking with Tulane's winning against Memphis. Now we're pretty much looking at what JMU. I mean, USF versus North Texas in that AAC championship game. But and it's funny, you talk about like you know who really doesn't want this, and you talk about like brands and everything and like ratings. ESPN ABC doesn't want JMU in the playoff as a 23-point underdog. People are turning that game off.
I mean, as an Oregon fan, if we were the 5 seed and we played JMU and Eugene,
you're saying thank you.
December,
thank you.
I'd appreciate that very much. I mean, North Texas has they got UAB, Rice, and Temple left. Also worth noting when it comes to these G5 programs, the teams we mentioned: JMU, North Texas, USF, and obviously Memphis out of it now. All 4 of those coaches are on the phone with their agents a couple times a week looking for other jobs. And I do wonder if that permeates itself in some upsets down the stretch here, some teams a little bit out of focus. And as much as I thought this did not matter, I saw it with Oregon when Mario left, how sort of clear it became that the team sort of felt that. I think we saw a little bit with Washington this weekend. They're sort of feeling the Jed Fish might not be kind of there this weekend. Like that was as bad as they've been on the road, that was really bad. I think we're going to start feeling this as we move forward, where coaches are sort of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. As much as I thought it didn't matter, Bear, it absolutely does matter. We have plenty of evidence it does. And I do wonder if some of the teams I mentioned, the G5 teams, because look, if you're in North Texas and you're losing your coach, he's gone after Thanksgiving. Like, I know you have a championship game to prepare for, but like your coach is committed. Like, he has to commit as soon as possible. The recruiting starts, the portal opens up. So a lot of these coaches in these G5 programs are going to move up this year. Worth just thinking about when it comes to making these playoff wagers.
And not only the coaches, like these G5 teams are not as good as the ones in the Power 5, Power 4 programs in the NIL. They're scalping the best players they can off of these rosters. So like we're not talking about teams that are stacked and really have a chance to beat a lot of these teams. So I don't know. There's my rant. At me, hate me, whatever you want for this, but to be continued. Moving on to the NFL. The schedule maker for the Patriots just did them a solid, and then they made some plays yesterday on the road in Tampa. They're now 8-2. They're staring the number 1 seed right down in the face. Drake May is the co-favorite now to win the MVP. I don't necessarily think he's going to. Mike Vrabel, favorite coach of the year. Like Sammy, Geoff, whoever wants to take it from here first, whichever one you want to go. Like, are we looking at a situation here where we just like? I can answer for myself. I can't wait for the divisional round to the playoff. Whoever wins one of those wild card games to go on the road to New England week 1 and be a favorite in Foxborough.
I texted you that yesterday. I think that's going to happen.
Yeah, if it's Buffalo or Kansas City, they'll be favored in Foxborough.
You can have like end of like an exact loss in the. I'm looking up right now for like the exact loss, like in the like exact outcome and the stage of elimination. Here it is right here to bet on that now if you want to. By the way, as we're recording this now, Brian Dable has been relieved of duty. as a New York Giants head coach. Felt like that was coming for a little bit of time now, but you can't keep losing the way they lose. And even though Jackson Dart did look great yesterday, Dart's been evaluated for 4 concussions so far this season. They got to teach that kid how to avoid some hits.
How do you play him the rest of the year? Your season's over. He's the dude.
I wouldn't, unless Mike Kafka.
The dude moving forward.
Right now, New England to lose in the wild card round is plus 145. Divisional round is plus 190. Conference championship game is plus 500.
Careful with the wild card because they might get a bye. Let me also, you want to talk about the New England schedule gods. Chicago's schedule gods have been even better.
Don't get me going on them.
I am in 4 Chicago Bears group threads, and I'm about to leave all of them. I'm not even they're not even Bears group threads. I'm from Chicago. There was a guy in one of my group threads yesterday who said, we haven't seen this clutchness. He was talking about Caleb Williams. We haven't seen this type of clutchness since MJ. And I almost threw the phone, Bear. Like what? Like the Giants were 2-7. It was a nice win. Caleb has progressed nicely. Ben Johnson is a good coach. Why do we have to be insane? Why?
It's funny, like 2 weeks ago, wasn't Caleb Williams after the Ravens lost like the worst, like he had not improved at all and he was going to be bad. And now all of a sudden he's back to being, what we thought. I mean, they've had some luck, man, this year, but look, you make the best of it. They've come back in games, was absolutely great. Their offensive line, by the way, is playing better, which is important. Williams does look more comfortable there. Sometimes he pulls his eyes down a little bit too soon, tries to make too much with his legs, but yesterday it worked out a lot for them. But yeah, I mean, it's a late comeback against the Bengals, a late comeback against the Giants. Now they go to Minnesota. And look, the schedule's it's Minnesota, it's Pittsburgh, whatever Pittsburgh is, who knows? Eagles, Packers. So they got a little tougher stretch here to find out what they really are. But it feels like a playoff team. I tell you what, man, Minnesota's finishing last in that division, I think. I think there's a real chance that the Vikings end up being, and they might be 9-8, but last in the division.
Yeah, you were dead on about JJ too, man. You said it all summer, and I drank the purple Kool-Aid there. What the hell? What is that?
He has no idea where the ball's going when it comes out of his hand.
Hey, but good news though. Lamar won his first game in Minnesota, so that's important.
So he's 1-0.
He had 1-0.
Got the job done.
He had never won there before, and he's bad against the spread against NFC teams. I think was part of the. I don't like trends, but here's 7 trends. That's a nice win. Sorry, Sammy, I didn't really fade you, but the Vikings. He just look. You can say with McCarthy that he just hasn't played a lot of football yet. So there's an opportunity now. But the problem is, guys, is that we're not even going to know into year 3, I think, if he's really good or not. And that they've wasted 2 years now with him. Like with Williams and May and Daniels and these guys, Penix, like Bo Nix. We're going to go into year 3, I think, knowing what they are. Now, can they get better or worse? Absolutely. But with McCarthy, it doesn't feel that way. And then also, too, I had a feeling they were going to lose because they anointed him after that game. You remember they put out the video of him like in the locker room after beating the Lions? It's like, buddy, it's a long season, man. Like, you can't get 2 up and 2 down. And they were so high after that Lions win, they came crashing right back down.
It's amazing. And we talked about this on the group text yesterday. It's like impossible to have 8 false start penalties at home.
Yeah.
And I was asking you as a former lineman, like, is that just a discipline thing, a mental error? Is it a McCarthy cadence thing? And you kind of said really kind of a little bit of each. He's so young, they aren't used to it yet, but just a complete meltdown by the Vikings. Getting back to the MVP, I mentioned I don't think May is the guy to bet there. I'd be betting Matthew Stafford right now. I think they're the best team in the NFC. I think you're going to have this narrative about him being hurt before the year, potentially last season. Massive game. Well, for all the dog games that we've gotten, and especially in that late window yesterday, Seahawks Rams this week, sign me up.
I think the Rams, the funny part is I think before the season, all of us liked the Rams a lot. We did. Then all summer we hear about Matt Stafford's back injury. And I think a lot of us jumped off the bandwagon. They look like we thought they would. They look really good. And now Devontae Adams is playing really well with Stafford. And they're being creative with the tight ends. And 3 tight ends yesterday had catches. The defense, we know they're young and getting better each and every week. And yeah, Seattle, and look, I still don't know what Seattle is. I mean, that game yesterday was over so fast. It was hard to really judge. They had 2 defensive scores in the first 16 minutes of that game. But Rams, Seahawks will be great this week, Sammy, to really tell. I know even the Rams lose, I know what they are, but to really know what the Seahawks are.
I like the Rams more big picture for sure, because I just trust Stafford. We know what he can do in the playoffs, and we've seen him rise to the occasion, in the Super Bowl. But I'll tell you what, man, I was sitting at the train station last Thursday, right after we got done taping, and I pulled my app out, and I'm looking at Sam Darnold at 22-1 for MVP. And I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. It's not a good bet. You look up this morning, you see an 8-1 in Vegas and a 10-1 across the country. And if they win that game, he might be, 4-5-1. If the Seattle Seahawks are the number 1 seed in the NFC at the end of the year, why can't he be the MVP?
Would be, but again, you watch that game, what did he really do? He threw a pick. He had it fumbled twice, like catch and run to yeah, I get it. He's the quarterback, but I'm not necessarily thinking he's the MVP of the league.
Well, I didn't bet it.
I would give it to Jonathan Taylor before I would him.
I didn't bet it. I'm not saying to bet it. I'm just saying there's a world where they win the NFC West. They're the number 1 seed, and then they just go, oh, well.
Agreed.
Here you go. Yeah, the Taylor thing is crazy, because we had a guest on our morning show this morning say something like, oh, I'd never vote for a running back. And it's like, well, what if he has 30 touchdowns and 2,000 yards? Why wouldn't he deserve the love?
And they're 14-3 or whatever the hell they are. Why not?
So I have that 60-1 Jonathan Taylor ticket. I probably won't get home on it, but I'm curious, at what point I try to make money off of it. Because I think that it gets to a point of the year where I bet Stafford. I have Mahomes and Taylor. Do I just bet Stafford now? Or do I wait?
Yeah.
So just take Stafford now, you think?
Yeah, you have to.
Definitely wouldn't cash it out, because you're going to get, draped over the coals on that one. You never get a good shake when you cash out. But yeah, you would bet one more guy if I were you. Like, if you got 60-1 on Taylor.
Yeah.
And the price on Mahomes, yeah, I would just.
I got 7.5 for Mahomes and before the season, and I got.
Look at you cornering the market.
No, corner the market. I talked about Taylor on the show. It's not like I didn't say that. I was doing that. So yeah, I'm also, I've never won any of these before, and so this is unlikely to win. So if it wins, it wins. I'll be pretty pumped. But I thought the 60-1 3 weeks ago was ridiculous considering how well he's been playing. He had 225 yesterday and 3 touchdowns. I mean, he's a little behind LT's touchdown pace, but the Colts just keep winning, even though Jones is sort of turning into a little more of what we thought he might turn into being. I mean, the Falcons, should have won that game. It is what it is. The Falcons are a team that's untrustworthy.
The Falcons. What we have any Coach of the Year tickets as well? You got that market corner?
I've not cornered that market yet. So if Vrabel wins, we're down multiple units, right? That's where we're at right now, I think, with the market cornering, I believe. So
that's who's going to win.
Who's going to win?
That's who's going to win. Vrabel's going to win.
As of right now, yes.
They're going to be 13-4 at the worst, and win the division of the AFC East. Had the biggest divisional favorite of any league out there, any division out there with the Bills, and they're going to win that division. And everyone loved the Mike Vrabel hire before the year and knew he got screwed in Tennessee. Like the narrative's written, he's going to win.
Can I give you the remaining schedule for New England? By the way,
yes.
Here we go.
I woke up at 4 a.m. last night and bet New England to be the number 1 seed and bet Vrabel to win Coach of the Year. Because I saw this, Sammy. Go ahead.
I love Bear checking schedules at 4 a.m. I love that. That's so Bear. Jets at home.
Yep.
At the Bengals. Giants at home. Bills at home. You can win that one. At the Ravens. Okay, that's a tough one.
Yep.
So is the Bills. At the Jets, home against the Dolphins.
That's what I'm saying. They're going to lose twice, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, that's it's just, and again, we bet them to lose in the divisional round, and
then Kansas City will go to Foxborough and win.
I'll make. What do you guys think of Vrabel taking that dive on first down there at the end of the first half? I thought that was insane. I don't know if you guys are watching the game.
I didn't see it.
So Tampa had no timeouts. It was under the 2 minute warning.
Okay.
1st and goal at the 1. Okay. It's 10-7 Tampa Bay, and New England has the ball out of the half. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't want Tampa to get the ball back.
Yep.
So the first play of the drive, it's first to go at the 1, I should say. Drake May took a knee bear and got no yardage, essentially. Okay. Then they get stuffed on 2nd down and 3rd down. And then Stephon Diggs makes an incredible catch back of the end zone, 2 feet down for a touchdown. If they would have not scored in that situation, that would have been something that Mike Vrabel would have had to address in a big way, because you can't turn down points. It's the first half. You can't just. I think that was Sammy. I don't know if you were watching the game at that time. I thought that was an insane decision to basically take one less opportunity to score there. Like you were going to score and you knew that already.
So they always talk about the middle 8, right? People talk about winning the middle 8. New England won the middle 2. It was 10-7.
Yep.
They scored a touchdown at the end of the first half and then a 55-yard touchdown in the first minute of the 3rd quarter. Yeah. They won the middle 2, Geoff. That's why that bet didn't come home on Tampa.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it did come home because New England won the line of scrimmage, which they really hadn't done in a lot of games. Like, New England's getting better. Like, I know we like to say maybe their schedule's easy, but they are actually getting much better throughout the season.
Geoff, there are these Vrabel is one of these guys. He kind of has the trick sheet for a lot of these clock management and game management. He does great. Dan Lanning with Ohio State, the game.
I do that. I do that when I play CFP 25. But I'm not doing it in real life. I get it at the end of a game. I totally get it. But at the end of the first half, that risk to me is just not worth it.
I would agree. I probably would have taken the field goal knowing that I get the ball out of the second half, because part of the whole win probability model is that if there's time left going forward on 4th down, 4th and goal from the 1 yard line, where factors in that if you don't get it, your opponent is getting the ball at the 1 yard line, and more than likely you're going to get the ball back in plus territory. So that all factors in. If you would have come up empty there, that would have been a very, very bad and very negative win probability thing. But I think the fact that they felt they had the ball coming out of the half, and even if they didn't score there, they felt good. I probably would have taken the field goal, but I'm sure there are probably a lot of analytics people that would disagree with me there. Speaking of win probability, the Jaguars' win probability was through the roof yesterday. I think if we were sitting down all in kind of an NFL Sunday, I don't think any of us would have had the Texans and Davis Mills rally in from 20 down to pull the not only the win over the Jags, but the cover there.
If Jacksonville never played a football game again, would anyone notice?
No.
It just
no. Most irrelevant, insignificant franchise in the NFL. Yes, has to be, right?
Cleveland? What about Cleveland?
Oh, Cleveland at least has hardcore, dedicated, long-suffering fans.
Oh, okay.
The Jaguars are just there.
To be fair,
they're the bane of expansion.
They got a pool, though, Bear. They got a pool in the field.
Sure.
At one point, it was about 2 minutes left in the 3rd quarter in the Jets-Browns game, and Justin Fields had 5 yards passing. The game was tied at 17. So, I mean, it's not always pretty there. I think I come back to Trevor Lawrence. I know it's not his fault they lost the game, but just something not quite there with I think him as the leader of this team. So, I mean, look, it was
bad receivers.
Jacoby Myers actually, I think, played okay in this game. But they continue to have these weird losses and weird games, and you can't allow. Now they end up being 26 points because the late touchdown.
They do stupid shit every week. They're ridiculously dumb plays,
and so I don't buy Jacksonville. So good for Houston. Big man touchdown or thick 6 to end the game and cover, depending on what number you got out this week. But I don't know. I didn't watch much of that game to the very end.
Did you see what Jacksonville had tweeted too after the end of the 3rd quarter?
Yeah, finish them or something?
Finish with the score 29-10, and they didn't score another point.
I was so hoping we were good. The damn officials robbed us of a game-winning 70-yard field goal attempt. I was so hoping he was going to make a 70-yard.
Cam Little? That would have been fun. These kickers, man, they're too good. I meant they're too good now. They're making these 58, 50, even college. Iowa kicker made a 58-yard field goal. It's incredible.
And trust me, from someone who was there earlier in the day, the weather, it was crap weather there.
Oh well, I can't believe Oregon didn't melt in the rain like everyone thought we would.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Poor old Oregon.
I mean, poor Oregon won 18-16 in a game that no one thought we'd win in that exact fashion. I'll take it, Bear. Out number one wide receiver. Out. Those okay. Like, it's so funny about college football. Like, the injury report stuff drives me crazy because then you get this. Saturday night the rumors start flying that Oregon's out, guys, right. And like, it shouldn't operate this way. Like, that's why the NFL injury report is so king. Like, we just know when guys are hurt. And then you start having to text people and figure it out. I text you. I text everyone. I didn't text anyone at Oregon. I'm not asking them like, hey, Can you confirm the report that your best wide receiver tore his ACL last night? I heard from a message board posting that was posted on Twitter at 12.
I almost asked Dan when he was walking off the set, like when he was done with his interview. I'm like, you know what? I was walking over there. We crossed paths, and I almost be like, yeah, he tore his ACL. He's out, right? No, I'm kidding.
It seems like Moore is going to be fine in the end. By the way, is Landon the only visiting coach to make it to a set this season? He did it last year on game day too.
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah, or 2 years ago at Utah.
He's awesome.
It was, yeah.
He's the best. He's awesome.
He's awesome. Yeah, I want to say he's got to stop wearing the cotton top when it's pouring rain. Though he doesn't go raincoat on the sideline.
He doesn't care. He does not care about being wet.
I'd be cold. I'm not gonna lie. I'd be a little cold.
It was cold. It was weird because it got colder during the show. Usually you think like as the day gets like more into the late morning, afternoon, it would get warmer. It did not. But hell of a game. It was it was the game that everyone thought we were going to get. Ugly, bad weather, safety, red zone turnover, ridiculous touchdown late. Defensive back's hand warmer comes flying off. 2-point conversion overturned.
Oh my God! By the way,
ridiculous throw and last-second field goal to win.
I know I'm going to get a comment like this is too much of an Oregon Homer podcast. I don't care. Iowa fans thought that Finney purposely threw his towel at a tip pass. I think it was Finney on the final play of Iowa's game. Like, are we serious? Like, the guy, he has towel like tucked in his thing, and as the ball's tipped, they thought he like went like this, like threw it. He didn't. He was an accident. His hands were up in the air. He went to like go move, and it hit his towel and let it loose. Like, it was the funny out of all things in that game, like conspiracy wise, the idea. And by the way, when I think refs are terrible, it's not a conspiracy. They just stink. That's what it is. Like, it's not, they weren't out to get Oregon. They just weren't good. They were not good officials. Like, that's okay to say the officiating wasn't great, but wasn't out to get one team or the other. It's not good. The officiating is just not good. But the towel throwing thing, I don't know if you saw that, Sammy, on the final 2-point conversion, the ball was tipped and like a towel went flying. And Iowa fans were like, can you address this? Is it unsportsmanlike conduct? Speaking about that, before we get out of here, Bear, how do you feel about what USC did this weekend with Sam Heward?
No one loves to manipulate the roster like old Lincoln Riley, huh? Oh, and then by the way, apology after the game. Yeah, it should have been a penalty.
It should have been a penalty though when the punter came in the game though, not on the Heward play. But that's as sneaky as it comes, right? It's legal to do this. Right. Where they changed the number on game day. I'm arguing with some USC fans like Sam Heward did not wear 80 to warm up. He didn't wear 80 in practice. He just put on 80 like before the game started, which I think it's legal. They're going to change the rule, obviously. They're not going to let that happen anymore. Right. But also, why would you use against Northwestern, not save it for Oregon or Iowa? I don't know why that was the game they chose to use it for. Interesting. So,
all right, Sammy, let's move ahead to this week. What's going on? What are we eyeing early on and in Saturday's game? Only like 3 ranked matchups, but couple of big moves already in the market.
There's something going on in 371, 372, Bear. That's Florida.
Oh, we got rotation numbers. You know, Sammy is serious when he gives out a rotation number. You know, he's got the goods here, and he has either already hammered this or is waiting to hammer this even more.
We bet 13.5 on Sunday night. Everybody's watching the NFL, and we're trying to get as much down on Ole Miss as we can. So there's a lot of stuff going on in Florida right now. They just lost their 6th game. Obviously, the coach is gone, and we're hearing white flag. And usually when you hear white flag, that means opt-outs. Now, nothing is public yet, but this got bet yesterday. I see 16.5s now in the market, and there was a 17 Sunday night. So this opened in Vegas at 13.5 yesterday. It's now 16, 16.5, and the 17s were bet back a little bit because people bet numbers. Things are not sounding good out of Gainesville, Bear. So that's something to pay attention to all week long.
How many times this week are we going to hear Lane Kiffin potentially coaching against his future team Saturday? And you think about that, and again, I don't know if Lane Kiffin is going to Gainesville. I have been very open about saying that I'm not sure the Florida job is better than the Ole Miss job. And you look at the rosters and the records and success lately, and I think that kind of bears that out, unless Lane Kiffin has decided he wants to move to Florida and live in the state of Florida and be the Gators head coach. That's what, but you could almost see a situation, just knowing how Lane has operated in the past in certain games, like he could go out of his way to put up a big number here on Florida. And then it's like, here he comes swooping in later, the hero to turn things all the way around and for the Gators. So beat them, get them, take their knees out, knock them down as low as you can. And then come January 20th or whatever, after the college football playoff over, here comes Lane Kiffin, savior to Gainesville.
It's certainly possible. I mean, Florida, it's not great. I don't know why you would leave Ole Miss for Florida unless you think Florida just would have a better chance to win a championship, essentially, right? I mean, that's the only difference, I think. And it's just so hard to win a championship. We haven't had a first-time champion in the sport since Florida, I think, in 96, Bear.
30 years.
The last first-time champion. So the sport is teams that have already won now. It might be a team that won in the 80s. But again, like for Ole Miss to jump through to win that championship, I don't think they've won before. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if they've won before. But it's hard. So maybe he looks at Florida as opportunity just with the built-in tradition to easier to win a championship. And that's why he would leave.
What are you eyeing this week, brother?
I like Washington home against Purdue unless they haven't given up yet, unless they have given up yet, which is certainly possible. I think Purdue's not very good in Iowa, and Washington plays so much better at home. That was bad. I think I like Iowa +7 at USC as well. I just think Iowa physically, the way they can play against USC is a big advantage. And then I'm sort of backing off in a tiny bit, but Tulsa hosting Oregon State. Oregon State outgained Sam Houston by 300 yards and lost last weekend. What motivation they're going to have to go into Tulsa and win this game? I don't think any. Now, Tulsa's terrible. I get it, but it's just a motivation game. Like they're flying to Oklahoma to play Tulsa. Like what juice are they going to have in this game?
Yeah, that's and you know what'll make Tulsa's season to potentially be. They already beat Oklahoma State. If they could beat they could beat Oklahoma State and end Gundy's run and beat Oregon State. That would make their season. Kind of with you on SC, because I know a lot of times I worry about teams like bouncing back from devastating losses, but no one's come closer to beating Indiana this. Well, I shouldn't say that. Penn State just did, but Iowa nearly beat Indiana. Iowa nearly beat Oregon. Now you go to SC, which, like I said, they've kind of been dominated in the trenches before. I think Kirk Ferentz and the type of team and type of kids that he has, I think they'll play tough at the Coliseum. One game I just want to get your opinion on here, because I know we were talking about it in the group text as well. Oregon, short week at home off of that win with all of the injuries, bringing in a Minnesota team that's kind of offensively challenged. USC coming in next week. Yeah. Is this like the classic sandwich spot? Just hold your nose, take Minnesota plus 23, whatever it is.
Under plus 23, whatever. I think this game is like 24-10. I mean, it's just they're not. The one thing is Minnesota, I don't think has scored an offensive touchdown on the road yet this season.
I believe that's correct.
So I don't know why that would start this weekend, but I don't think Moore is going to play. I mean, why play any of these guys? Why you just run back to Iowa game plan? Just run the ball 45 times. And Minnesota's defense is not half bad, and just lean on them defensively and get out there with a win. I mean, at this point, who cares? Like, it is what it is, and just So I think Minnesota plus 23 would not be a bad wager. I'm not making that wager, but that's not a bad wager, Bear.
God, What a throw by Dante Moore to Benson. I was thinking of you, Geoff, and I know, Sammy, I know I was in your favorite spot, the Minneapolis Delta Sky Club, watching the end of the game. And it was hysterical because, like, at two of the high tabletops, like, one side was an Iowa fan and another table was an Oregon fan. And I'm kind of like just trying to stay back and like stay out of the conversation. And like they're going after Moore made that throw, the Iowa fans, game over. And that was when I was like, I'm like, I couldn't hold couldn't bite my lip anymore. But like, I'm like, I don't know. Kicker's not that great. And then the Oregon, we got a good kicker. I'm like,
no, he's freaking, I couldn't believe that.
He's like, he's 46. I'm like, all right. And I was thinking of you with the Oregon kicking game. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't be trusting this guy with the 46-yarder. And
Sammy was rooting for them to miss so he could secure no corner outfit for him.
Games I got him on the docket this week that I'm kind of looking at. Sammy, I'm going to Chicago this week. I'm going to Wrigley. Should Michigan be favored by 10 over Northwestern? The teams that Northwestern struggle with are teams that can like throw the ball and are athletic and have been mostly away from home. I might be nibbling here at the Purple Cats plus 10.
I like that bet, and I do not like Northwestern, for the record. That's a good look, though, Bear. I will definitely join you on that one, and I know I'm probably going to bet. I'm going to bet against Kirby. I'm going to take Texas this week too.
Oh wow!
I think that's the right play. Is it 7.5 or to come down to 7 or 6.5?
No, 6 now.
6 now?
5.5, 6.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, that was the fullest game we got from Georgia this year, and I think. This Texas needs either this one or the A&M one to potentially have a shot. Boy, speaking of Northwestern, saw Pat Fitz on Friday night out at dinner. Love that dude. Hope he gets a job.
If you could guess, where do you think?
I don't know. I want to say Penn State. That would be the one I would say.
I feel like he'd be great for UCLA too, just considering his academic. That he had to deal with academics and sort of finding the right players in Northwestern. It feels like a spot for him to make that happen. UCLA, by the way, leaving the Rose Bowl, kind of crazy.
Oh, is that going to happen now?
Yeah, they said 2026. Yeah. Okay. Because who wants to play your home games in SoFi Stadium? That's going to be a hoot. I'm sure Bruins fans can't wait.
All the Englewood would be coming and flying into SoFi to come watch UCLA Maryland.
I can't wait.
Speaking of Maryland. What are they going to play for this week? You just got rolled by Sunge. Now you're going to Illinois, who all Illinois loves to do is just beat up on bad teams. Like I saw this 14. Like this isn't closing 14, is it, Sammy? Geoff? Either one.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
I mean, Maryland this year won the first 4 games, and one of those was Wisconsin. They've lost every game since then, and.
Was the Washington game their first loss when they blew that fourth quarter lead to Washington and everyone said?
Yeah, they were 4-0 off a bye and looked like they had turned the corner with Washington. And he's a true freshman. He's kind of sort of gotten worse. He had a big touchdown run against Rutgers first play of the game, I think. And it's just been uncompetitive, really. So I'm with you. Illinois was off a bye too, a little refreshed. I can't imagine Maryland puts up much of a fight here. The one thing that you have to worry about, though, is Illinois' offensive line against Maryland's front. Maryland's got an active front, but I'm not sure it matters over 60 minutes if Maryland can't score.
And then the other game I got by I will give. We talked about those 4 public dogs last week: BYU, Mississippi State, Iowa, and UConn. 2 of them covered, 2 got blown out, and one of them won outright. And one of those teams that won outright was the UConn Huskies, who came back on Duke, traded punches in the fourth quarter, in the second half, and the Blue Devils went up to UConn and lost. However, that game does not mean anything in the grand scheme of the ACC title race. We could be looking at a 4-loss Duke team playing in the ACC championship game. To do that, they need to beat Virginia, who got beat last week. Finally, the voodoo wore off. Unfortunately, Chandler Morris got hurt, could do nothing without him. Now Virginia's around a 6.5-point favorite, or dog rather, at Duke. If this is under a touchdown, it would worry me a little bit, but I don't see how Duke doesn't name their score. And I will definitely be looking at at Duke team total this week. Like I think Duke is going to wind up playing Georgia Tech in that ACC championship game.
ACC is a weird league, man. I'm glad I saved Sammy some money telling him not to bet on Louisville. So I'm glad
you did talk me out of it at dinner. Yeah. At dinner, you did. You said, "Don't do it. Don't do it. Cal can't be trusted."
And they won outright.
Yeah, it was 19-point dog getting the win out. Well, yeah, the ACC is the conference of chaos. Where are you guys going to dinner on Wednesday again?
If Newark allows me to fly to New York, I got to figure this out. I've been delayed 2 weeks in a row, many minutes and hours, and so we'll see what it looks like on Wednesday. Really tomorrow, Tuesday. I got to decide Tuesday if the flight cancellations are going to get me. 4-hour ground stop in Newark doesn't sound very fun, Bear.
Yeah. I mean, certainly our thoughts are with everyone out there. Not only the people dealing with the delays, but the people out there who are currently working for free in air traffic control and TSA. And I will say this: I was pleasantly surprised on Thursday when I got to where the heck did I fly out of? Newark on Thursday after I was able to change my flight and maneuver things. People for the most part got it and were civilized and understanding and like not taking it out on people that they shouldn't be taking it out on. So it was hope for humanity after all. That you're not going to yell at the TSA agent and who's not getting paid and the Delta Gate agent who has absolutely nothing to do with any of this. So it was hopeful. So hopefully we'll see you this week, Geoff.
I hope to be there. Yeah, we'll figure it
out. Sammy, I know I'll see you. Appreciate everybody out there again. Rate, review, subscribe, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Appreciate the tuning in on YouTube. And if you're a head football coach somewhere, or an official or an assistant football coach somewhere, or a quarterback or a running back or a Heisman, whomever you are, you want to hop on Bear Bets, send us a DM. We're happy to throw you on Thursday. Geoff, Sammy, I'm Bear. Remember, plus you bet, more you lose when you win.